Welcome back to Crypto Spaces, back with another Monad update for you guys. Monad, one of the only coins, one of the only coins in this space that is showing some type of strength, some type of uptrend. One of the only ones, right? If you take a look at the Monad chart on TradingView, it is so extremely bullish. I'm telling you guys, it is so extremely bullish on Mon in the TradingView chart, because if you take a look at the pattern that is formed here at the lows, it's forming an inverse head and shoulders, right? And I told you guys, once we get above the Coinbase ICO price once again and finally break over it and stay strong above it, which is at 0.025 cent, that's when you're gonna see Monad really kick off the races, right? Right now it's sitting at 254.78 million market cap, up 9%, right? 130.9 million in 24-hour volume, up 20% in 24-hour volume. And again, a couple of people asked me, does it get a Binance listing? I'm not sure if it gets a Binance listing. My trade is betting on Coinbase, right? Multi-billion-dollar company Coinbase, making sure their first ICO, initial coin offering. Remember, Coinbase made this a massive deal for people to get in this ICO, right? Because I remember I wasn't a part of crypto at the time, but I remember YouTubers, content creators that talked about the ICO craze back in, like, I think the previous cycle of 2017 or 2018 cycle, sometime like back there, or 2019, sometime before my time in the space, right? And there was the ICO craze where a bunch of people made a ton of money on ICOs, right? So this is a big deal for Coinbase. If they want their future ICOs to be successful, because remember, they get money from this and a ton of it too, right? With these ICOs, they're going to want to protect their investments, right? So there will, in my opinion, Coinbase is going to make sure their first ICO is successful. I'm not sure about the second or the third, but they're going to make sure their first ICO is extremely successful. And what better than a massive, technologically sound layer one with a community already built before its launch. It didn't just come out of nowhere with no community, none of that. Community already built before its launch. Very competent founders, very in touch with the new generation of crypto. Very well laid out marketing and very well laid out presence in this space, right? For their first L1 for Coinbase, right? For their first L1 ICO, right? So I think, like I said, Coinbase is going to make sure this is successful, right? They really think that's the case, right? So we have from George, right? Again, inverse head and shoulder, next target up to 3 cent for Monad, which is, in my opinion, so easy to go, right? To get to 3 cent. Very easy to get to. Like I said, my target for January is up to 20 cent for Monad, right? Right here from Sketch, Mon to 10 cents before February 2026, right? I think, Monad is going to be way stronger than that. From Crypto Tony, someone that I follow very well, right? He's a great TA guy. Always has, posts his leverage trades publicly on the timeline, right? And he's taking a look at Monad here, like I said, break above this resistance level in an inverse head and shoulder pattern. And he says it's one of the better looking charts today, right? And I completely agree with that, right? 11% up. Monad is one of the only coins, right, showing strength in these market conditions and starting to climb back up again. And, again, with Monad doing well, on-chain Monad will also do well, right? So like I said in previous videos, 100,000 Monad is the way to go, right? I know there's people with 1 million, 2, 3 million Monad, but again, don't try to compete against these people that have already been successful, right? Take it one step at a time. You get a successful investment from Monad. I wouldn't call it a trade because this is a long-term hold, right? You take some profits in your long-term investment in Monad, and then you take those profits and then reinvest back into the space to keep compounding those wins, right? So Monad is one of those projects that could be a great win, especially if you haven't done anything successful this year. I think 2026 is going to be great for Monad. If you haven't gotten any successful investments, trades done this year, Monad would be great to get you, kickstart your 2026, right? So I think, like I said, 100,000, 50,000 to 100,000 Monad is a great bet. $2,349 for 100,000 Monad, and 50,000 is $1,175 right now, right? You don't want to wait until everyone on crypto Twitter is bullish on Monad, right? Everyone hates it on the timeline, my timeline. Everyone hates Monad, so I do the opposite of what everyone is doing. Decided to buy Monad, and I think when everyone starts to love it on crypto Twitter, it's a good time to take profits. Not saying to sell your precious Monad, but taking profits. You never go broke taking profits. A lesson I've learned drastically, dreadfully, right? In a pit of despair, that was a lesson that I've learned, right? You never go broke taking profits. So, as always, none of this is financial advice. Monad looking fantastic here. Like and subscribe. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one.